Shalom, kings and queens of the kingdom of God. I'm Jean-Claude Dugo from Ministries. Welcome to the Spiritual Caviar. This Shabbat, we're going to deal about a special topic. Never kneel to angels, idols, and women, but to God. After this message, my brother, my sister, you will never kneel to a woman to propose to her marriage. Let's go to our message right now. To kneel means in Latin, prosternere, pro meaning forward, sternere, forward in front, and sternere to extend, to knock down, sprinkle. We said in the title that we should never kneel to angels. So in the first time, we're going to talk about angels. Should men bow down to angels or kneel down to angels? Let us look in the book of Revelation, chapter 22, verse 8 to 9. I read. And I, John, saw these things and heard them. And when I had heard and seen, I fell down to worship before the feet of the angel which shewed me these things. Then saith he unto me, See thou, do it not, for I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren the prophets, and of them which keep the sayings of this book, worship God. What is happening here is that John, when he received the revelation from the angel, bowed down, knelt to the angel, and the angel said, come up. Don't do that to me. This should be the reaction of all the young girls who will receive the proposal, marriage proposal of young men who kneel down to propose. She should say, come up. Don't do that. Don't be foolish. You can stand and propose. Don't do that. But there is only one exception. And that exception, we're going to read it in Joshua, chapter 5, verse 13 to 15. I read. Joshua, chapter 5, verse 13 to 15. This is the story of Joshua that the angel met, and Joshua went to meet the angel. But this angel was, in reality, was Jesus. But in the Bible was Archangel Michael, but which is really Jesus. And it came to pass, Joshua chapter 5, verse 13 to 15. And it came to pass when Joshua was by Jericho, that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there stood a man over against him, and with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went unto him, and said unto him, Art thou for us, or for our adversaries? And he said, Nay, but as captain of the host of the Lord am I now come. And Joshua fell on his face to the earth, and did worship, and said unto him, What saith the Lord unto his servant? And the captain of the Lord's host said unto Joshua, Loose thy shoe from off thy foot, for the place whereon thou standest is holy. And Joshua did so. The difference between the first angel that John saw in Revelation 22, verse 8 and 9, the angel said, No, don't bow down to me. Don't worship me. We are fellow servants of God. Worship God. Here, the angel said, he didn't say, don't, we are fellow servants. No. He said, remove your shoes, because the ground where you stand, the ground is holy. By the way, this is what the religion they call the celestial Christians. They removed their shoes and they walk with their barefoot in the heat and in the snow. Maybe here when it's winter, they put shoes anyway. But this is another story. So you can see the differences. You don't have to bow down to angels, but accepting when this angel is Jesus. How do you know that it's Jesus? When the angel doesn't say, no, don't bow down to me. So you know that you are encountered Jesus. The second article in the title is that never kneel to idols. So we're going to see an example if we should kneel to idols or not. Romans chapter 11, verse 2 to 5. Romans chapter 11, verse 2 to 5. Romans chapter 11, verse 2 to 5. Romans is the New Testament. 2 to 5, I read. God hath not cast away his people, which he foreknew. Wot ye not what the scripture saith of Elias, how he maketh intercession to God against Israel, saying, Lord, they have killed thy prophets and digged down thine altars, and I am left alone, and they seek my life. But what saith the answer of God unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. Even so, then at this present time also there is a remnant according to the elections of grace, the election of grace. So there are some people God has reserved because they didn't bow down the knee to Baal. So we shouldn't bow down to an idol. Now, we're going to see if we have to bow down to women, because this is the real topic of this message today. Because this phenomenon came in the church. Many Christians, because they didn't have that teaching, they think that they have to put a knee down to propose. This is not biblical, but we're going to see that. So the question is, should we bow down to a woman? The answer is no. But let us see an exception. The only time a man bowed down to a woman, it is written in the book of 1 King, chapter 2, verse 19. 1 King, chapter 2, verse 19. And it's the story of King Solomon bowing down to his mother. So the queen mother. 1 King chapter 2, verse 19. So the only time a man bowed down to a woman was the case of King Solomon. I read. Bathsheba therefore went unto King Solomon to speak unto him for Adonijah, and the king rose up to meet her, and bowed himself unto her, and sat down on his throne, and caused a seat to be set for the king's mother, and she sat on his right hand. The only case in the Bible. So the answer is still no. But this would tell us that because he did that to honor his mother. The traditions in the world, especially in Africa, the Yorubas, I think, they bow down to their parents. They bow down. It is not a sin because they are doing that out of honor. And you were going to see some examples here. But you shouldn't bow down to propose marriage to a woman. But if you have to bow down according to your tradition to your mother, do so. It's not a sin. This is what point I want to make. So let us see. Should women bow down to men? Yes, the answer is a big yes. Let us see some examples here. So you will see the place of a woman and the place of a man. So you can see that in the book of Ruth. The book of Ruth is in the Old Testament. Yes, sorry. Yes, so it is here. Josué, which, yes, after the book of Judges. Do you understand why people prefer to take a telephone? They don't want to make their life difficult. But we have to take the real Bible. Ruth chapter 2, verse 10. Boaz proposed to Ruth, and Ruth bowed down to Boaz. I read Ruth chapter 2, verse 10. Then she fell on her face and bowed herself to the ground and said unto him, Why have I found grace in thine eyes, that thou shouldest take knowledge of me, seeing I am a stranger? You see, so normally when you want to propose to a woman, there's the woman that you bow down to you because you are saving her life. You understand? Otherwise, she will be without a name. She will be Miss. But when you give her this authorization, she will be Mrs. You understand? So let's go to another scripture. We see the example of Abigail bowing down to David. In 1 Samuel chapter 25, 1 Samuel chapter 25, verse 23. I read. And when Abigail saw David, she hasted and lighted off the ass and fell before David on her face and bowed herself to the ground. This is what it is. Let's go again, if you're not convinced by this, let's go again to see the example of Bathsheba and David in 1 King, chapter 1, verse 31. 1 King 1, 31. 1 King 1, chapter 1. Yes, verse 31. Then Bathsheba bowed with her face to the earth and did reverence to the king and said, Let my Lord King David live forever. You understand? So the answer to the question, should women bow to men? It's a big yes. Should men bow to men? It is also yes. Let us see some examples. Moses bowed down to his father-in-law in Exodus 18, verse 7. Exodus 18, verse 7. This is what I said. It is out of tradition, out of respect. It's not because they want to worship the person. But we will see a special case where somebody bowed down to worship. But we will see it. Exodus 18, verse 7 says, And Moses went out to meet his father-in-law and did obeisance and kissed him, and they asked each other of their welfare, and they came into the tent. So, obeisance did Moses to his father-in-law. We will see David bow down to King Saul. In 1 Samuel chapter 24, verse 8. 1 Samuel chapter 24, verse 8. These pages. 1 Samuel chapter 24, verse 8. I read, David also arose afterward and went out of the cave and cried after Saul, saying, My Lord the king. And when Saul looked behind him, David stooped with his face to the earth and bowed himself. So this is the example of David, and we can see also the prophet Nathan bowed down to King David, and this it is in 1 King chapter 1, verse 23. 1 King chapter 1, verse 23, I read, and said, and they told the king, saying, behold, Nathan the prophet. And when he was come in before the king, he bowed himself before the king with his face to the ground. We can see now the last example. There are many examples, but the last in this preaching, King Nebuchadnezzar bowed down to Daniel. So the king bowed down to a man, Daniel. So Daniel chapter 2, verse 46. Daniel chapter 2, verse 46. Then the king Nebuchadnezzar fell upon his face and worshipped Daniel, and commanded that they should offer an oblation and sweet odors unto him. The guy worshipped Daniel. You understand? So men can bow down to men, but the title said, do never kneel to angels, idols, and women, but to God. So we're going to see a few examples on why we should only bow to God. We will see the example of angels bow down to God in Revelation chapter 7, verse 11. Revelation 7, 11. Revelation is the last book in the Bible. 11. So, and all the angels stood round about the throne and about the elders and the four beasts, and fell before the throne on their faces and worshipped God. You understand? So idols also bow down to God. So we see the example of Dagon, the idol Dagon, that bowed down to God and worshipped him. So 1 Samuel chapter 5, 1 Samuel chapter 5, verse 3 to 4. Yeah? And when they of Ashdod arose early on the morrow, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the earth before the ark of the Lord. And they took Dagon and set him in his place again. And when they arose early on the morning, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the ground before the ark of the Lord, and the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hand were cut off upon the threshold. Only the stump of Dagon was left to him. So idols bow also down to God. But let us see, brethren, in conclusion of this message, that the devil wanted Jesus to bow to him. Let us open our Bibles in Luke chapter 4, verse 7. Luke chapter 4, verse 7. That says, if thou therefore wilt worship me, all shall be thine. So meaning that if you bow to me, all will be thine. All will be yours. So, brethren, I want to urge you not to continue that tradition brought by people inspired by the devil, who says that to propose to a lady, you have to bow down. By doing so, you are accepting the proposal of the devil to bow to him that Jesus refused. Please do not bow down to a woman. to propose. May God bless you. Worship only God. Bow down only to God. Let out. Bye-bye.